Hi, my name is Ben Fairfield, and I'm principal trumpet of the Abilene Philharmonic and co-principal trumpet of the Midland Odessa Symphony here in Texas. And I'd like to take a few minutes today to kind of share some thoughts with you about practicing and what to do at this uncertain time. Um, it's uncertain for all of us. We don't know when we're going to be able to perform again. We don't know when we're going to be able to have rehearsals. We don't know when we're going to be able to have in-person lessons. Kind of that human contact musically, so to speak. It's all up in the air right now. It might be a few weeks, might be a few months. We just don't know. So in the meantime, let's try to make the best of our time together. The first thing I'd like to say is there are lots of people that are available and willing to help. That's for students and professionals alike. So please don't hesitate to reach out to one another, ask questions. Hey, what are you doing to keep yourself on task? How do I practice this? What are you working on? Let's communicate. Let's be a community of trumpet players and really help each other out and encourage each other at this time, which can be or will be and is going to be difficult for all of us. I was fortunate last night to take part in a Zoom chat with one of my trumpet idols or heroes, Wynton Marsalis, and he had some great advice, just an impeccably smart gentleman. And so I want to share with you some of the advice he offered some of us last night. And the first thing he said was you got to embrace the space, right? We've been given this unlimited amount of space and time now, and so it's up to us how to use it. But the first thing is we need to embrace the space and take advantage of this time that we've been given and use it to our advantage. The second thing was kind of what I was touching on earlier. Let's connect with people by interest, not geography, right? So, I'll selfishly say trumpet players, but it could be a group of musicians or dancers or artists or whatever. But reach out to other trumpet players and connect and share ideas with each other at this time. And the third one is, I think, going to be important for all of us is set a daily schedule and stick to it. We're so used to having our time, whether we're in school or whether we're in an orchestra or we work a day job, whatever it is. We kind of have a set regimen, a set schedule, and that's all gone now. So to keep yourself on track, make sure you keep a daily schedule right now and stick to that, whatever that may be. Pick a long-term goal that you've always kind of wanted to work on, and go with that right now, something like that. So, okay, enough about that. What's going on currently? Let's talk about practicing a little bit. I'm going to pull up some notes here so I don't get too far off track. I know it's a daunting task to be with yourself and have all this time and go, gosh, I don't even know where to start. What do I practice? How do I do it? I'm going to start by saying the what you practice is going to be far less important than how you do it. So let's get some good practice habits going, and the what. And I will give you some suggestions on some of my I guess favorite etude books in a minute. But let's talk about how to practice first of all. And I'm going to start with a quote from legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden. I read a lot of his materials and he's kind of even though I never met him, an inspirational figure for a lot of us. But he says, don't look for the big, quick improvement. Seek the small improvement one day at a time. That's the only way it happens, and when it happens, it lasts, meaning success. And he was quite successful. His UCLA basketball teams, I think, won something like 10 national championships, just an unprecedented level of success. So don't look for the big, quick improvement each time you practice. It's going to happen in baby steps, right? Seek small improvement one day at a time. And that way, it's also going to stick. So when you practice, let's talk about just 4 or 5 steps that you can do to keep yourself on track. Number 1, make sure you have a goal in mind. Don't just practice and say, oh, I want to get better at the trumpet. Well, of course, we all do. But it's going to be a little more productive for you if you can stick to one particular goal for each practice session. And it could be anything. But number 1, stick to a goal. Say, I want to work on sound, or I want to work on articulation. I want that ringing, ping sound to my articulation, or I want to make sure the resonance is perfect on every note that I'm playing. And I want to focus on sound, and is one centered sound moving right into the next, no matter how fast the notes go by. Things like that, a specific goal that you can work on. Number 2, you have to think about what you're doing. You have to be focused and be concentrating on what you're doing. I know this is a time where we will get distracted and our minds will wander. We're going to be watching the news, or we're, kind of letting our minds drift off because we're not as structured usually as we are. But practicing really requires your full attention and conscious actions. And if you can keep yourself focused, you're going to be better off for it. We like to think we're good at multitasking, which is not true. What we're actually doing when we think we're multitasking, our brain can only focus on one thing at a time, really. So it's very quickly shifting attention from one thing to another. That's what we're doing when we're multitasking, which is fine if you're washing the dishes and watching TV and coming up with a grocery list. That's great. But when you're practicing or studying or doing something that you want to get better at, it's going to require your full attention to practice. That's number 2. Number 3, you need to get some feedback. Even at these times of social distancing, it's important to get some feedback. And that's why I've created a Google Classroom for my students, and you're welcome to submit things as well. You can submit some videos, and I'll give you some feedback. And certainly I'm not the only expert available. I'm far from an expert, but I do have a little experience and am happy to help out in any way. But you need feedback so then that you can modify your efforts and try again and do some different things, hopefully better things. So number 1, again, have a goal. Number 2, pay attention to what you're doing. Number 3, you got to get some feedback. And the last thing is that when you practice, don't just practice the things you're already good at. You need to get outside your comfort zone a little bit. Try things that are just beyond your current level of capability. If you try things that are too hard, it's like you're just falling right off that cliff and you're going to sink without a parachute. So things that are just a little bit outside your comfort zone, you kind of stretch the ability level each day, and that's how you get better. You don't get better just practicing the same things. Although, let me say at this time, I think it is important to do some things and play some things that are just for us. That's another thing that Wynton Marsalis said last night is, we play for ourselves first. Even when we perform and practice and do all these things with our busy schedules, the first person we have to make happy when we play is ourselves. So especially right now, please do some things that you're good at and remind yourself why I like playing the trumpet or the flute or whatever it is. But while you're practicing to get better, make sure you're going just outside your comfort zone. A quick way to say that is you got to focus on something, get some feedback on it, and then fix it. Another John Wooden thing that I've heard from several different people is he used to structure his practices demonstration, imitation, and then correction and repetition. So find a good trumpet sound that you like to model, the demonstration, then try to imitate that, get some feedback, get some correction, and then make sure you're correctly repeating that. That's a good model to follow. Something that I've been reading and researching about over the last few years is purposeful practice or deliberate practice, whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of about putting a bunch of baby steps together to reach a longer term goal. And you take that general goal of I want to get better at the trumpet and turn it into a series of specific tasks that you can, A, B, C, D. Here's how I achieve that goal of getting better at the trumpet. You got to stay focused. I can't say that enough. Turn your TV off when you practice. Put your phones down unless you're going to use them for the metronome, or of course record yourself and listen back. Use your phone for that, please. But this is not the time to be on social media or texting or things like that when you practice. And you don't have to have 3-hour-long practice sessions right now. Pick 20 minutes or a half hour and do some really focused practice. Go do something else and then come back to it later. Make sure you're getting feedback. Please make sure you're getting some feedback from someone with a little more experience than you. It's important to have that set of ears, no matter what level of player you are. It's important to have that extra set of ears to kind of say, all right, you might want to work on this, you might want to work on that. And then you take that feedback and bring it just outside your comfort zone and add to your improvement level. All right, so enough about that. You're certainly welcome to contact me at any time if you want to get into the deliberate practice a little bit more. But since I don't want to ramble on all day, I'll give you some of my personal favorite, method books or things like that. The first one is, and these covers are all falling off and old. Let me pull my video back up here. I had some notes that I was looking at. The Yardman book, right? Some people have called this the Trumpeter's Bible, and it does have everything that you could possibly imagine, from really good sound exercises, articulation, multiple tonguing, scales, chords, arpeggios. There's some lyrical studies in the back. There's the characteristic studies. There's all kinds of technical things. There are duets, anything and everything. You never get too far away from your Arben's book. Number 2 is the Herbert L. Clark Technical Studies, which I like to call moving long tones. Yes, you do get the dexterity and finger technique, which is hugely important and beneficial for trumpet players, but you also get slurred air connection. Use it for sound, and don't just use it for technique. Again, moving long tones is the best way I can call some of the Clark studies. Number 3 is the James Stamp warm-ups and studies. That's a great book to slowly work through and really focus on sound and the connectivity between notes. I also like the Bailin, B-A-I-L-I-N, lip flexibilities. Doing some slurring and, again, connecting notes at this time is going to be very helpful. Another one that I use that has some really good practice routines is John Haney, how to play high notes, low notes, and all those in between. He basically lays out a routine, a practice routine in each key. G major, F sharp major, B flat major. He goes up the same kind of practice routine in each keys. And for younger players, and even for older players that would like to work on, I'd say, transposition or just sound or just reading some things, I really like the Getchell first book of practical studies. You get bored with that, there is the second book of practical studies, which is also very good. But these are, for some younger players, can be quite helpful at this time. All right, hopefully you'll find this helpful. I'll try not to ramble on too long, but please reach out to each other, connect with each other, share ideas, share some of those with me, please, because I'll be right there with you in the trenches. I will talk to you very soon. Hopefully you found this helpful again. And please let me know what you think. You can reach out in my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/bftrumpet. My website is benjaminfairfield.com, or you can email me benfairfieldtrumpet@gmail.com. Happy practicing.